What up, David here with some more Danganronpa IF. It's finally come to a head. Mukuro was violent with Monokuma, and now it's on. Mukuro is a one-man army, one-woman army, and is going after something. And now she told Kyoko and Chihiro the whole story. It's yet to be seen if they're gonna believe her. They need to do more digging. But now Mukuro is wandering through the academy with a mission in mind. With no interference from anyone, she made her way to a hall as large as the gym and stood before the sealed main entrance. Suddenly, Monokuma popped out from the shadows to block her path. Within this hall that resembled a nuclear bomb shelter, replete with all manner of heavy weaponry, Monokuma's silhouette was conspicuously out of place here. His laughter rang throughout the room as he wriggled his body from side to side.
What were you doing at the nurse's office? Did you eliminate your rival for Makoto's affections? Or did you help play matchmaker instead? Either way, don't you think it's kind of adorable to put Makoto and Kyoko in this kind of situation together? If this were a suspense film, those two would be the last couple standing. But if this was a horror film, they'd just die anyway. The killer was alive all along. Splat goes the blood, pop goes the meat. I'm a huge fan of endings where the characters think they're gonna live, but they're really headed to a final destination. See what I did there? Wait, what the hell is a tenation? What does that even mean?
Despite Monokuma's angry complaints, Mukuro remained unperturbed. She continued to stare icy daggers at Monokuma, as if she were waiting for him to finish speaking.
Well, anyway, I'm just so sad right now. A regulation-breaking delinquent is disrupting the harmony of this peaceful academy. I can't even keep one of my students from running wild. Time to say goodbye to your incompetent headmaster. I'm gonna use Monokuma Evolution to become a big Magnum headmaster and mold you into a decent student.
As soon as he said that, Monokuma extended his claws and waddled towards Mukuro.
So if I'm gonna mold you, then I gotta kill you first.
Right as he finished speaking, Monokuma suddenly charged at Mukuro like a spiked volleyball. But, oh my god, I actually really love the image of that. Like, he curled himself up into a ball with his claws extended, so he's like a rolling death ball. I like that. But Mukuro was faster and dodged Monokuma's attack. She jumped back, keeping her distance from Monokuma, just in case his claws could extend even longer. Just then, a shadowy figure appeared next to her. Mukuro twisted her body to its limits and just narrowly evaded the figure's attack. When she landed on the floor, she immediately saw either Genocide Jack or Sakura. Or a second Monokuma.
What does the immortal killer want anyway? Are you going to tell the others the truth and escape with them? Even though you know what the outside world is like right now?
The two Oh god. Two Monokumas were speaking to Mukuro in unison.
Honestly, I don't mind if you do that. I can just imagine the look on everyone's face when they discover the truth. It fills me with such heart-throbbing excitement.
The two Monokumas continued to speak in stereo sound.
You said you'd destroy my plans, but there's no happy ending waiting for you, no matter which route you take. And you have only yourself to blame for that. Don't tell me you thought they'd be grateful to you. Even if you guys escape here, what do you think? They'll still forgive you when they get a whiff of that nasty air outside? Some of them might prefer to stay inside the school, and some of them might resent you for being kind and showing them the truth. But then again, this is all your fault anyway, so it doesn't really matter what they think of you. Monokuma made a little mistake.
Despite facing down two Monokumas, Mukuro's expression didn't waver. She understood that controlling two Monokumas simultaneously was a piece of cake for Junko. Mukuro drew an arm-length metal bar from seemingly nowhere and readied herself. It was the remains of the IV stand from the nurse's office, sharpened into a pointed weapon. With her weapon in hand, Mukuro responded in a cold, mechanical tone. That's fine. I'm already used to that. None of the fear she felt when Monokuma suggested that Makoto would blame her appeared on her face. Her path was clear to her now, and she calmly issued her demand to Monokuma. Junko opened the gates. The shock of such a straightforward demand left both Monokumas momentarily speechless, but they soon replied.
Huh? Why?
So we can all leave together. Damn it, I keep giving her too much inflection. Another straightforward answer. Both Monokumas faced each other and began gesturing as if they were whispering to one another. Mukuro knew their movements were intended to mock her. Unmoved, she continued to speak to Junko directly. I think they'll understand if I show them the outside world. And then they'll stop doubting Makoto. You always find new
ways to disappoint me, Mukuro. Did you forget? The school has...
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Did you forget why the school has an air filtration system? It's true that the outside air is
polluted, but I don't think it'll kill us immediately. Besides, it's better than being trapped in the school and forced to kill each other.
How can you be so sure the others will go along with you? You know what I mean, right?
Before the former headmaster got turned into a space dust...
Oh, before the former headmaster got turned into space dust, he interviewed the others and they all agreed that they wanted to stay in the school. That was before their memories had even been erased. Oh, I'm tired. Do you really want to betray their wishes?
Mukuro blinked and slowly stepped forward. I don't really care about their feelings.
Huh?
You're all I need, Junko. Damn it! You're all I need, Junko. There we go. This is so weird. I feel like I should give her some inflection, but I don't know. I'm feeling her out, okay? I like the idea that ever since she snapped and killed the first Monokuma, like, she's in, like, this sort of trance right now. This, like, military... Like, she's driven completely by her instincts right now. So don't worry. I'm always watching out for you. Damn it! Don't worry. I'm always watching out for you. I'm going to make sure you feel despair, and I'm going to make Makoto and the others happy. If you want to revel in your own despair that badly, then I'll trust the hope Makoto gave me, and take my chances with them instead of you. Mukuro's brief but powerful words caused... Worlds! Her worlds! Caused the Monokumas to turn and talk to each other again.
Oh my, this doesn't look good at all, Monokuma, eh? This child doesn't realize her own hypocrisy. She's so disappointing that she's starting to reach critical mass, right, Monokuma B?
The two Monokumas looked at Mukuro, who seemed ready to destroy them, and said,
What do you think, Monokuma C?
Mukuro was taken aback by their question, but immediately her instincts kicked in, and she suddenly dodged away. Ha! I flipped him! At that moment, a third Monokuma, claws extended, passed by where her head had been previously. This new Monokuma unit landed with several spins and faced Mukuro, who had clunked the remains of a surveillance camera still attached to the ceiling. Damn! She like just...
I agree with you both, A and B.
The three Monokumas lined themselves up.
All together, boys! Hi, Hajime! Hi, Hajime! Hi, Hajime!
I almost said Monokuma 2. Danganronpa 2? To the students locked inside the academy, this sight would have been akin to a nightmare.
Right on! Pooh hoo 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 hoo!
The three units began speaking in perfect harmony as their 6 eyes looked up at Mukuro. Suddenly, they each jumped away in 3 separate directions and kicked off one of the walls. The path of each unit's triangular attack all converged to a single point. Mukuro, who was still clinging to the ceiling, just like Go Girl. She was surrounded by razor-sharp claws coming at her from different directions, but not directly down. Just drop! But this situation wasn't even a nightmare to Mukuro. Compared to the time she fended off 3 assassins who had invaded her camp one night back when she was still a member of Fenrir, this was nothing. This thought crossed Mukuro's mind as she dangled from the ceiling with one hand and thrashed her limbs around like a tornado. What? Intercepted by this move, the Monokumas fell to the floor with a loud crash. Or she can just take him out. All right, Mukuro, you know, you just do what you do. Don't let me question you. Mukuro landed on the ground and chased after one of them, brandishing a metal bar. Ooh! Suddenly, she stopped moving and took a huge leap back. One of the Monokumas exploded with a deafening roar. He had detonated the bomb inside of himself in an attempt to take Mukuro down with him. But thanks to her own battlefield instincts, Mukuro managed to avoid the explosion. Meanwhile, in the control room, Junko was having the time of her life.
Haha, it's like a video game, and I got 3 lives, bitch.
She looked towards the hallway, expecting the explosion to have attracted the attention of Sakura and the others. But she didn't hear any footsteps approaching. Monokuma's voice rang from within the dense smoke.
Oh, you don't have to worry. I already told the other students to assemble in the cafeteria. They were eager to follow my orders after I told them I've disarmed the poison gas, and that a special police unit was... Oh god, I'm so tired when I talk in my voice. Let's go in to get them, police unit. I'm pretty sure Kyoko and the others are all in the cafeteria by now. I'm sure Makoto is with them too. You like him? I doubt Sakura will get too rough with him, but I'm sure Byakuya will torture Makoto once he wakes up. I can just imagine him rubbing salt or pouring soy sauce into his open wounds. Man, I'm getting all hot and bothered right now. Wah!
As she listened to the Monokuma's overlapping voices, Mukuro tilted her head slightly and said, I'm pretty sure they're going to find out that you lied about that special police unit. Are you really okay with that?
No worries. Once I've dealt with you, I don't care at all if they found out I was lying. You still don't get it. You're such a disappointment.
It suddenly dawned on Mukuro. Not the reason why Monokuma didn't care if the students found out he lied, but rather the voices of the Monokumas in the smoke were gradually increasing in number. As the smoke started to clear, the shadows of 3 Monokumas appeared. The one that exploded couldn't have revived, so a new one must have come to take its place. But now there's no way Mukuro only heard 3 Monokumas talking just now. As if to prove her hearing had been accurate, the Monokumas suddenly made their move. The 3 Monokumas bent over and began twirling their upper bodies. From behind them, new Monokumas emerged, like afterimages brought to life. The second row of Monokumas mimicked the earlier ones with only 1 frame of delay, revealing even more Monokumas behind them.
It's an army of us's!
Eventually, Mukuro realizes there were 3 rows containing 10 Monokumas each.
Did you know this is called a circle dance?
Monokuma's 30 voices spoke in perfect harmony as they divulged information that had nothing to do with the courage situation. The courage situation. Yes, I heard what I said. Mukuro already knew that multiple Monokumas were positioned throughout the academy. Only Junko knew how many of them actually existed. Mukuro had no way of knowing if these 30 were just part of a larger contingent. The flock of 2-toned teddy bears continued to twirl around. Mukuro felt as if she was being bombarded with hypnotic images. But faced with this abnormal sight, the ultimate soldier remained calm and maintained her focus. She was nothing like the girl who had panicked earlier in the gym when Makoto was impaled. As she stood before 30 emissaries of despair, she slowed her breathing and allowed her heart rate to accelerate. It was instinct, not fear or panic, that sent her blood racing through her entire body, speeding up the reaction time of her cells. As her senses sharpened, the Monokumas began speaking to her again.
Don't worry, I'll make sure Makoto doesn't die. Today. As long as everyone lives, I can reset their memories as many times as I want. That's right. All your effort, hope, dreams, and determination are going right into the garbage heap.
The Monokumas took turns speaking in groups of 10. As if the mastermind controlling the Monokumas wanted to show off her ability to manipulate them. However, the ultimate soldier knew what the true purpose behind all this was. She strained her ears to the limit and noticed a certain sound hidden among the voices. Mukuro's face was perfectly still as she kicked off the floor. The moment she moved to the side, a roaring sound shook the entrance hall. The ceiling mounted turrets in front of the gates started raining bullets down on Mukuro. The Monokumas were just the mastermind's decoy while she tried to blow her away. As if further trapping her, Monokumas charged at Mukuro through the storm of bullets. Mukuro guessed that the mastermind programmed their movements in advance so that they wouldn't get hit by a single bullet. She ran for the gate, evading waves of bullets and claws every step of the way, programming 30 Monokumas and 2 turrets while also predicting Mukuro's escape route. This would be considered possible for anyone, but Mukuro knew it was possible for Junko. As ultimate despair, she possessed despair-inducing abilities that can surpass the capabilities of any normal human. I believe it's called plot armor, Miss Novella. Her display of power was only fulfilling Mukuro with despair. Despair. The scene playing out in front of Mukuro was brimming with despair. The adorably deadly Monokumas laughed and danced like reapers as bullets whizzed through the air. It was despair to the point of absurdity. And it was all for Mukuro. But in the presence of such despair, Mukuro felt a strange serenity. For me? Junko's doing all this for me? Junko, are you watching me right now? In the end, perhaps Mukuro really was a disappointment. She clenched her fists. Junko, thank you. The sound of gunfire overshadowed her whisper, and Mukuro fell completely silent. As a member of ultimate despair, Mukuro's heart was filled with joy. Though she was filled with emotion, her eyes had lost their sparkle. Silence filled the air. Even the gunfire from the turrets seemed to stop for a moment. But that was only an illusion to the one controlling Monokuma. Something strong enough to silence the gunfire and avoid being picked up by the sensors spread through the school, with Mukuro at the center. I'll make sure I do this right. With that final thought, she closed her mouth and turned off to her emotions. As she ran through the waves of scorching bullets, the air around her began to grow colder. As the coolness spread into her heart, it began to beat in a mechanical fashion. Several seconds later, Mukuro's body and mind melded together and became one with her surroundings. Her temperature now dominated the battlefield. Despair, bullets, and Monokumas filled the area. Mukuro predicted their movements and jumped into the air without any hesitation. One of the Monokumas jumped at her, but she avoided his attack, kicked his body, and launched herself in midair. Oh, damn! My girl's got an action sequence! Bullets pierced through the space Mukuro was previously occupying, striking the falling Monokuma right through its internal bomb. The impact of the bullet caused it to explode, sending fiery Monokuma parts everywhere. As she rode the blast wave, Mukuro balanced herself in midair as she kicked away 3 Monokumas that left after her. She moved so gracefully that she was practically flying. We call this the flow state, where your instincts completely take over and you're moving almost autonomously. In contrast, the Monokumas threw themselves into the path of oncoming bullets, exploding one after the other. Some of them exploded near the main entrance, but their blast didn't even leave a scratch. With full control over the entrance hall, Mukuro evaded bullets and confirmed that the bombs inside Monokuma weren't enough to destroy the door. But she refused to stop. Mukuro needed to get information on what she must do to escape the academy. She had no desire to kill Junko. Mukuro only wanted to fill Junko with despair by instilling the hope into the future of Makoto and the other students. That was Mukuro's ultimate goal: get information. In contrast with her determination, her mouth stayed shut. But this did not mean Mukuro was not currently speaking to Junko. The situation, this battle of death and destruction, was a conversation of sorts for Mukuro. All she knew how to do was fight. She thought she wasn't interested in anything else. She thought she didn't need anything else. All Mukuro needed was a sword to fulfill her sister's desire. Her despair. That purpose alone was the crux of her existence, and she lived her entire life convincing herself that she couldn't do anything else. That's why her power was like a language to Mukuro. A battle to the death revealed more about her heart than mere words ever could. Her words were in the wind of savagery that blows across the battlefield, uprooting others who also speak the language of violence. This was true even against her sister. When Junko would berate her sister, Mukuro couldn't talk back. All she could do was cower and apologize profusely. But it's different now. For the first time, Junko was using a language her sister actually recognized. The child of despair who tore the world apart was speaking to her sister with the language of power. Mukuro's heart filled with joy. For that reason, she strengthened her focus on her conversation with Junko, and that emotion began to gradually disappear. On this frigid battlefield, Mukuro continued her heated conversation. Endless rounds of despair fired from the school's turrets. But Mukuro's words intercepted every last violent shot that threatened to shatter her body and mind in half. She quickly realized that the Monokumas hadn't decreased in number at all, no matter how many she kept destroying. Not only that, she noticed more that the Monokumas had been joining the fray. More Monokumas had been joining the fray until there were nearly 50 of them. But Mukuro's resolve wouldn't break so easily. As she continued to wield her power, her heart began to fill with something that was neither hope nor despair. She learned despair from being abandoned by Junko, and she learned hope from her acts of violence. For Mukuro, who had no interest in this world, the small space in front of the gate was a reflection of her life, a representation of her perfect world. This disappointing girl, filled with endless disappointment, who knew of no other way to live, continued her lonely dance. She surrendered herself to the rhythm of despair, which accompanies the music of hope. I'm feeling things. I like Mukuro. She's an action-taking gal. And she is, at the end of the day, kind of a sensitive cinnamon roll. Computer room's innermost area, the Monokuma room! Junko playing video games! How much time had passed? The surveillance cameras at the gates were capturing footage of countless Monokumas falling at the hands of a child who fought like a raging demon. The Monokumas bolstered their numbers, and now 100 of them were trying to sink their claws into Mukuro. Most of them were running on autopilot, reacting to her movements based on prior information they had received in advance. But despite standing before hundreds of mechanical adversaries, Mukuro's face showed no fear. Jesus. She hadn't sustained a single injury, giving her a presence that was nearly divine to behold. Though Sakura Ogami was powerful enough to injure her arm, Mukuro in her current state could potentially fight Sakura to a draw now, without relying on firearms. I was thinking this, it feels like, because of what's going on inside her head, and, how she was able to just, really zone in onto this situation, she's super on point. She's, at her highest potential right now. Maybe even a fraction of it. But, yeah, I was gonna say, this Mukuro could probably handle Sakura. She was a little bit distracted earlier because, she was just focused on getting Makoto out of there. Without relying on firearms. Oh man, I would love to see that. I would love to see this! We need to make this an anime. That'd be fun. Even if it was a quick one. She took complete control of the battlefield, taking in her surroundings as if they were part of herself. She dodged attacks from the rear, as though she had eyes on the back of her head, and stabbed through Monokuma's weak points with her metal bar. No matter where the attacks came from, Mukuro deflected them all, as if her skin were covered in eyes. Describing her as an ultimate no longer did her justice. Mukuro had transcended the boundaries of humanity, and become a pure killing machine. Oh, but still my beating heart. David, calm down. But despite that, even though she understood the ludicrous power her sister possessed, Junko was not afraid. She felt not one iota of fear. After all Junko can feel is despair. She even started to admire her sister's attempt to fill her with despair. But that sentiment quickly filled Junko with an orgiastic ecstasy of despair. Yeah, dude, what did I say that other episode? Junko knew. She knew that Mukuro was neither hope nor despair. She was just a phenomenon. A disappointing girl who no longer understood herself, only knew how to be violent because it was all she could believe in anymore. She's a force of nature. Mukuro had become an avatar of destruction beyond that of any military force. She couldn't even be considered a soldier anymore. She was a natural disaster, like a typhoon or a tornado. Yes! Or perhaps like gravity, she was now a fundamental force of the universe that only existed to bring despair to Junko. The mastermind enjoyed watching her sister go all out. If Mukuro destroyed everything and ruined her life, Junko would now still be comforted by despair. She could just go right ahead and overpower her. Junko considered this for a few seconds until a familiar, hopeless habit reared its head. Her habit of getting so bored that it made her sick. The girl who had been grinning as she watched the screen now bore a look of calm stoicism as she reached for the microphone connected to Monokuma's speakers. Mukuro was no longer human anymore, but Junko knew how to bring her back. It was a simple feeling, really, and with that hopeless feeling for Mukuro in mind, the mastermind said just one word. Mukuro. What? Mukuro. That voice. It was calling her name. Instead of using Monokuma's voice filters, Junko's natural voice was coming out of a Monokuma unit. That's all it took. With one word, Mukuro Ikusaba stopped being a force of nature and became a person again. No! You stripped her of her awesome... Well, I mean, she's still awesome, but no! Now she might die. Monokuma would not miss this opportunity. As if moving to the beat of Mukuro's shaking heart, a torrent of claws leapt to attack her. But Mukuro trusted her instincts and twisted her entire body to fend off the attacks, leaving her with only a few scrapes here and there. But the despair wasn't over yet. The ultimate despair didn't waste any time making her next move. Mukuro, watch out. Huh? As soon as Mukuro heard that voice, her mind went completely blank. There was no mistaking it. That was Makoto's scream! The scream that saved her from the spears of Gungnir and changed her destiny. No, that's wrong. What? Oh, that's Mukuro. No, that's wrong. No, that's wrong! I just got it! Oh, okay, we're good. Back to Earth, David. It took her a tenth of a second to realize that voice was just a sound clip that Junko had replayed. But it was more than enough time to drag Mukuro, who had regained her humanity, into despair. Right when she recovered from her moment of shock, Monokuma appeared behind her and roundhouse kicked her in the temple. She twisted her head to roll with the blow, but at that moment, a different Monokuma attacked her from the opposite side with a headbutt. Sakura, get out here! And as soon as Mukuro dodged that attack, 3 Monokumas launched simultaneous drop kicks and knocked her to the ground. Oh, dude, that would look sick. Ugh. The fact that they weren't using their claws meant they weren't trying to kill her right away. Before she could stand up again, dozens of Monokumas were waiting for her on the floor. Climbed on top of Mukuro and pinned her limbs. One of the Monokumas waddled over to Mukuro as she lay face down on the floor and laughed.
A pretty girl getting pinned by all these me's. I wonder if I should feel more excited about this. Don't make that face. If I wanted to kill you, I'd just pump you full of bullets right now.
Oh, don't say it like that. That's weird.
But I don't think the audience watching this on TV would like that ending very much. I need to make sure I do it the right way this time.
What are you planning to do to me? Mukuro asked in her emotionless voice. Monokuma guffawed and answered,
Nothing. I'm just gonna stick to the original plan. Make sure you play the killing game at the school. I'll erase everyone's memories again, and I'll just make them redo the introduction and entrance ceremony again. You know?
In typical Monokuma fashion, he leaned his face towards Mukuro.
But it'd be boring if we had to redo everything. Maybe this time I'll have you participate as Mukuro Ikusaba.
I'll even take away... Oh, god damn it. Doing Monokuma's voice this much is actually, like... Okay, so, like, this is gonna sound weird, but when I do Monokuma's voice, my tongue kind of goes into the back of my throat a little bit. But because I've been doing it so much, my gag reflex is starting to act up. So... I'm just gonna talk normal. I apologize, but I don't want to vom on camera. I'll take away even more of your memories, just like I did to that irritating detective girl. You'll just be a poor little girl with no memory at all. Oh, that'd be interesting. Imagine Mukuro not knowing who she is, but her instincts like coming out at random times. That'd be sick. As Monokuma talked and wiggled his body from side to side, the others danced and twirled around. Amid this fantastical scene, Monokuma continued to describe his hopeless plan in a nonchalant manner. At first, you'll be the girl with amnesia, and everyone will feel sorry for you. But as they unravel the mystery, they'll find out who you really are. It's exciting to think how they'll treat you when that happens. Knowing you, you'll probably kill someone purely on instinct. Maybe I should rethink my rules about self-defense. You can't. You can't. Her memories would be erased. There's nothing she could do about her classmates hating her. But losing even her childhood memories would mean her connection to Junko would be severed as well. Even if Mukuro had no interest in the world, it was unbearable for her. Alright. I've heard of New Game Plus before. This is the first time I'll get to see New Game Minus. Ugh, God, it really needs to stop.
Yeah, should I tie you up for fun? Or should we make this game even more masochistic?
Oh, I gotta do his voice, come on.
Forget hard mode, very hard mode, and inferno mode. I wanted to skip ahead to impossible mode.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll erase your memories after I drag you on a motorcycle, pummel you with 1,000 baseballs, burn you at the stake, and crush you with an excavator.
No. Junko, you and I both know you'd rather do this to yourself. Mukuro knew what Monokuma was talking about. He was describing the tools they had prepared for the various executions they had planned for the students. After everyone introduces themselves, they'll walk around the school grounds and eventually find a flat-chested girl with amnesia. Covered in bandages with Minotaur's tattoo on her right hand. I bet a certain fan base might get off on that. Wait, what? Walk around a certain school ground. Okay.
If this were a game, that would increase sales by 500%.
Although Monokuma sounded like he was joking, everything he said was deadly serious. As evidence, Mukuro heard a rumbling sound off into the distance.
Now then, your sweet ride is on its way.
Based on the engine's noise, Mukuro surmised that it was a large motorcycle that was supposed to be used for one of the executions.
I took the time to bring this all the way from the punishment room, so you better be grateful.
The sound of the roaring engine grew even louder, like the approaching footsteps of death. Mukuro wondered how Monokuma would drive it with those tiny arms and legs, but then she remembered she was dealing with an ultimate despair. Junko would make the impossible possible just to bring about despair. A despair that went hand in hand with Mukuro's fate. Did I fail? I couldn't fill Junko with despair? I couldn't save Makoto and the others? Questions raced through Mukuro's mind, but she wasn't able to answer them. There's no way she could have answered them so easily. After all, she was still alive. The sound of the motorcycle grew closer and closer, as if it was threatening to break Mukuro's spirit. Suddenly, Monokuma stopped moving. The other Monokumas continued doing their automatic movements. As this strange event unfolded, Mukuro noticed something. The motorcycle suddenly went quiet. After a few seconds, the engine exploded to life and began to approach with even faster than before. Only a few seconds later, what appeared in front of the main entrance was an enormous motorcycle that plowed through groups of Monokumas like a predator hunting its prey. Did Chihiro reprogram it? Oh no! Wait, that's awesome! The rider of this motorcycle was none other than Mondo Awada. Oh, another motorcycle! Mukuro and Monokuma were both visibly shocked by this turn of events. Instead of addressing them, Mondo accelerated the motorcycle he stole from Monokuma directly towards Mukuro. Just before his front tire touched Mukuro, he popped a reverse wheelie and turned the entire motorcycle around. The back wheel swept over Mukuro's back, knocking her away all the Monokumas that were pinning her. Oh, cool. Hey, can you stand? Monokuma, damn it! Mondo asked, and begrudgingly offered his hand to Mukuro. Confused, Mukuro took his hand and stood up. What are you doing? Oh, right, she's normal again. What are you doing, Mondo? I was so close. I see, it's not her talking. Of course.
What are you doing, Mondo? I was so close!
One of the Monokumas protested. Oh, right. What was I doing here? What was I doing?
What are you doing, Mondo? I was so close.
I'm like doing Monokuma's voice, but not whimsical. It's hard. Not as, but as a hacker, Bashiki Madarai. Oh yeah, you're Bashiki or whatever, right?
That's right. Why are you helping a terrorist?
I ain't bragging about this or anything, but I have no clue if you or the girl is lying. The veins in his temple began to bulge, and his cheeks flushed with anger, as Mondo said. But still, I ain't the type just to stand around with some idiot gangs up on a girl.
What are you saying? What are you saying? Get a hold of yourself. You must be experiencing Stockholm Syndrome. You've deluded yourself to think you're friends with this criminal who's taken you hostage. Monokuma tried to explain to Mondo, but he ignored him, took Mukuro's hand, and pulled her into the back of the motorcycle.
Oh, shut the fuck up. I don't know nothing about Stockholms or syndromes. but don't go acting like you could boss me around. As damn it! This is the third time! As Mondo shouted, he's revved his motorcycle as if he was using it to punctuate his words. The ceiling-mounted turrets began moving, but the two disappeared before the turrets could take aim at the motorcycle. As they zoomed through the hallway, countless Monokumas chased them, waving their claws wildly through the air, like they just don't care! Why? Asked Mukuro. Huh? Shouted Mondo. His voice was even louder than the sound of the engine. Don't get the wrong idea. I don't trust you at all. He lowered his voice slightly, as if he were whispering to himself. Still, I don't know why I felt like I could trust what he said. He? Inquired Mukuro. But there was no time for questions. The unit leading the Monokumas chasing after the motorcycle had almost caught up to them. And then, like the enormous maw of some fearsome creature, they brandished their claws in perfect unison. Oh, that's cool. At that moment, the motorcycle zoomed by a certain girl. A girl whose fighting ability surpassed that of any normal human, the strongest girl on Earth. With a fighting spirit that defied comprehension, the ultimate martial artist kicked off the floor! We're gonna find out what Sakura is gonna do in the next episode. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Make sure to like this video if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't, smack the bell so you never miss a thing, consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you, Bladed Cross, for supporting me on Patreon. I'll see you all in the next one. For now, this is Dave out, peace out. This is so cool! I love this action that's going on. Real fun.